Hello and welcome back to the video classes. So today in this class we are going to discuss about the determinants of Indian foreign policy. This topic it is covered under the sixth semester of political science. So coming to the foreign policy, before discussing about what is foreign policy and what are the definitions of foreign policy, uh, we have to know what is the meaning of a policy. So the government adopts different kinds of policies for different kinds of actions that the government takes up. We talk about the economic policy, the new economic policy, then the population policy, the education policy, the reservation policy. Like that, we can take n number of policies that the government adopts. And coming to foreign policy, it's also one of the national policies which is adopted by the government. So, what is the meaning of a policy? Is a policy is nothing but it's a course or principle of action adopted or proposed by a government or any other organization or by any other individual. In other words, we can say a policy is a prudent or an expedient conduct of action which is taken up by the government. So, like that, here we know a foreign policy. It's nothing. It's not a different policy which is adopted by the government. It's also a part of the national policies which are adopted by the government. Now, if we have to gain more understanding about the Indian foreign policy and what are the factors that will determine the Indian foreign policy. So, first of all, we have to know what is the present scenario of world order and where does India sit in this present scenario, or where does India sit in the present world order. So then only we can get a proper understanding about the foreign policy implications of India. Then we can have a proper understanding about the foreign policy principles that we adopted during the times of independence, and what are the foreign policy principles that we are adopting now. So for that reason, here if we take the present world order or the scenario of the present world order, what we can analyze or we can zero it down by saying that the present world is militarily it is a unipolar world and economically it is a multipolar world. So why we call it as a militarily a unipolar world? Why? Because for all these years we have been talking about the bipolar world, that is after the end of the Second World War. We know the world was divided into two power blocks. One is the American bloc and another one is Soviet Russia. And right from 1945 to 1991, the Cold War atmosphere has continued between these two power blocks or military blocks. But later in 1991, with the demise of Soviet Russia as a power bloc, so from then onwards, it is America which has remained as the world hegemon, or else it has remained as the superpower of the world. So till from then onwards, we find it is a militarily unipolar world. So in military aspects, it is still today that America is dominating over the world. Though economically, there are many other countries which are competing with America, but coming to the military aspects, even till today, it is America that is the hegemon. So the present world is it is militarily unipolar, but it is economically multipolar world. So why? Because we can say America is it is a militarily superpower. Even economically also, America is the developed country in the world. But in the present world, we find there are many countries which are competing with America. And if we see the present statistics, China has already surpassed America in economic development, and there are other economic pockets like it could be the European Union, or it could be Japan or South Korea, India, they are also competing with America. So the present world, we can say it is a militarily unipolar world and economically multipolar world. So here, if we see few of the statistics or data which is provided by the International Monetary Fund regarding the gross domestic product, which is based on the purchasing power parity. This data is released in 2020. So if we see this data, the GDP of China, it stands at 27.80, and America, it is at 20.29, and India is standing at 11.22. So this, by this we can say here, in economic aspects, in respect of GDP, based on the purchasing power parity, so China has already surpassed America. But coming to the military spendings, coming to the military aspect, as we discussed just now, it is America, it still is a hegemon. Why? Because the military spendings of America is far beyond than China or any other country in the world. So if we see the data here, what we find is the military spending of America is per year, it is 732 US billion dollars, but whereas China, it is far below to America, it is 261 billion dollars. And coming to India, India is still far below than China. It is 71 billion US dollars, and Russian Federation is 68 billion dollars. So that way we can say that here presently the world is, it is militarily a unipolar world, but economically it is a multipolar world. Now coming to foreign policy is one of the very important topic under the international relations. Now, without foreign policy, there is no international relationships. So foreign policy is nothing but it's like a machinery, or it's like an instrument through which the international relationships are maintained. So there is a very coherent bond between these topics, that is the international relations, of foreign policy, and the third one is diplomacy. So diplomacy, again, it is an instrument, we can say it is one of the instrument of foreign policy, or tools of foreign policy, through which the relationships between different countries are maintained. So now basically coming to the meaning of international relations. So international relations, it's nothing but the way in which two or more nations interact with each other, especially in the context of political, economic, or cultural relationships. So in international relationships, basically we find what are the policies which are adopted by the government, and what are the course of actions taken up by the governments in maintaining the relationships with other countries. So international relationships can be maintained only through the foreign policy. No foreign policy, that means no international relations. Why? Because a foreign policy is like, it's like the wheel which will process international relationships. So every country will adopt its own foreign policy to maintain the relationships with other countries. So we cannot say the foreign policies of all the countries will be the same. The constitutions could be similar, the governments could be similar. Like when we have to write the Indian constitution, the framers of Indian constitution, they have borrowed certain concepts from other constitutions. But coming to the foreign policy has to be originally belong to that particular country. Why? Because the foreign policy is based upon the political, socio-economic, and historical, and also the cultural conditions of that particular country. And in framing the foreign policy, every country will give more importance to its own national interests. So to gain a more understanding about the foreign policy or international relationships, we can say that a nation is nothing but it is an individual writ large. Like Plato, he uses this word. Plato says that a state is nothing but it is an individual writ large. So a nation, it is made up of the people. So for that reason, as we find among the human beings, when the human beings have to maintain the relationships with other people, so what are the factors that influences the human beings in maintaining the relationships with other people is we find it is a self interest. So why human beings give more importance to their own self interest is because here we have to go to Thomas Hobbes or even Machiavelli, who talk about the realistic nature of human beings. So Machiavelli, he says basically the human beings are selfish. Basically the human beings are cruel, are self-centered. The human beings are power mongers. So for that reason, if we analyze the human nature according to Hobbes and according to Machiavelli, so here human beings always they give importance to the personal interest in maintaining the relationships with other people. Of course, we can say that the other aspects like the emotions or intuitions, those things also will play an important role. But still, if we take in a general manner and we try to understand, it is the self interest of the individual that plays a very important role in maintaining the relationships with other countries. Then what are the other factors that influences a person in maintaining the relationship with other people is it is its own self-interest, his own security, his own economic development. All these aspects will influence a person in maintaining the relationships within the society. In the same manner, a nation is nothing but it is a combination of the individuals. A nation is an individual writ large. So for that reason, every nation gives importance to its own national interest while framing the foreign policy. Like for instance, if we take the example of United States of America. Now, if America has to choose to build up the relationship between these two countries, one is India and another one is Pakistan. Here we know India, just like America, we have adopted a democratic form of government, and we are the biggest democracy in the world. And in every aspect, India is far developed and far a better country. And not only that, in India, right from 1950, after we adopted a constitution and we adopted a parliamentary form of government, we find this parliamentary form of government has been running successfully for the past 70 years. So, if America has to choose to build up a relationship between India and Pakistan, America will definitely opt for Pakistan. Why? Because it benefits its own national interests. Why? Because when America has the relationship with Pakistan, with the help of Pakistan, now America can have a control over the other countries like Afghanistan or other Gulf countries. So for that reason, we say any country which adopts foreign policy, the first thing a country that gives importance is to its own national interests. Now, even if we take India, right from the beginning, we have been talking about India as a non-aligned country without joining into the American bloc or the Soviet Russian bloc. But later, what has happened was when we had to face a war with Pakistan regarding Bangladesh issue, then we have to build up a relationship. We have to come into an agreement with Soviet Russia. And this is also done for the sake of our own national interests. So the primary factor in formulating the foreign policy of any of the nation is it is the national interests. Now, what is foreign policy? Is nothing but the policy which is adopted by a government in maintaining the relationship with other countries in the world. Like a country maintains different kinds of relationships with different countries in the world, uh, basing upon it, taking into consideration its own socio-economic, political, and cultural conditions. So, for that reason, we can say a foreign policy it's a framework within which the government of a given country conducts its relationship with the outside world in different formats. That is, it could be the bilateral relations, it could be trilateral relations, it could be the regional relationships, or multilateral, or sometimes it can be the global relationships. So, this is the meaning of foreign policy. And coming to the tools of foreign policy, how foreign policy is implemented is there are different mechanisms through which foreign policy is implemented, and the very important mechanism is it is the diplomacy. So, diplomacy, there are other tools of foreign policy also, like it could be war, or else to have an alliance with other countries, or through agreements, or sometimes it is the international trade also. But out of all these tools of foreign policy, it is diplomacy, especially in the modern times, it is diplomacy that has been playing a very important role. Why? Because diplomacy has replaced the war as a tool of foreign policy. Like during the First and Second World War, we have seen it was aggression, or it was war which has played a very important role in the policy of a nation. But later, after the United Nations organization has come into existence, and many other international organizations have come into existence, it is the diplomacy which has been playing a very important role. That is, to conduct the relationships with other countries through dialogue, or else through constitutional methods, or resolution of conflicts through a dialogue. So, diplomacy has been a very important tool of foreign policy. And now, coming to the purpose of foreign policy, we already discussed that. Uh, the main purpose of foreign policy is safeguarding the national interests, security, and integrity. Now, coming to the security, it could be the territorial security, political, economic, and even the moral security also. In the present world, we find energy security, which is playing a very important role. So, why? Because the development of the country, the economic development of the country, it largely depends upon the energy sector. So, for that reason, for safeguarding the energy sector and for promoting the energy sector, so the governments of different countries, they frame their own policies. So, like that, we can say the basic purpose of foreign policy is to safeguard its own national interests, and to protect, or else to develop, to safeguard its economic interests, and to see that that country it will develop economically with the help of relationships maintaining with other countries. And we also know in the present world, no country is self sufficient. Uh, every country has to depend upon some other country for some other for some other favors. So, even if we take the very developed country like America, America also cannot sustain without maintaining the relationships with other countries, or without getting the cooperation and support from other countries. Like the recent example, we can take like because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and when the American citizens were in need of the medicines, America has to depend upon India for hydroxychloroquine tablets, and we know 29 billion doses of hydroxychloroquine drugs have been ordered by America from India. So, like that, in adopting a foreign policy, we can say no country is self-sufficient, and every country, in one aspect or other aspect, it has to depend upon other countries. Now, coming to the definitions of foreign policy. what George Modelsky he says about foreign policy is, foreign policy is the system of activities evolved by communities for changing the behavior of other states and for adjusting their own activities to the international environment. So, foreign policy here, according to Modelsky, it involves two aspects. One is to change the behavior of other states. Like this particular attitude we find among the powerful countries. We find this many times, we observe this in behavior of America, where America trying to change the behavior of other countries in its own favor. When it has brought about the nuclear policies like a comprehensive test ban treaty, where this treaty says that it's only the nuclear powers that can possess the nuclear weapons and they can test the nuclear weapons, but other countries, the non-nuclear countries, they don't have the right to test the nuclear weapons. So what are the two aspects of foreign policy according to Modelsky is, one is to change the behavior of other states, which we normally find in the behavior of the developed countries, and the second one is adjusting their own activities to the international environment. And this we find, this behavior we find among the countries which are still in an economically developing phase, and militarily those countries which are backward. So those countries, they try to adjust their own foreign policies according to the international environment. And coming to another definition which is given by Ford and Lincoln, they say foreign policy is the key element in the process by which a state translates its broadly conceived goals and interests into concrete course of actions to attain their objectives and pressure its interests. So here he gives the Ford and also Lincoln, they give a very precise definition of foreign policy. So they say that regarding a country maintaining their own relationships with other countries, so every country will have its own uh, every country will be having its own goals and every country will have its own objectives. So what a country does to bring about or else to implement or else to translate these goals into actions, so for that reason what the policy that a country adopts, that is called as a foreign policy. We adopted the policies like Panchashil, and we adopted policies like non-alignment and cooperation with the Asian and African countries, or a fight against racialism and apartheid and colonialism. These were all the objectives of Indian foreign policies. So what India has done in translating these goals into actions, that can be called as the foreign policy. And coming to another definition which is given by Joseph Frankel, what he says is, a foreign policy consists of decisions and actions which involve to some appreciable extent relations between one state and another state. So what are the decisions and actions that are involved in maintaining the relationships between one state and another state? So ultimately, what we can say about foreign policy after observing all these definitions is, we can say, we can conclude that foreign policy is the sum total of principles, the interests and objectives which a state formulates in conducting its relationships with other states. So in conducting or in maintaining the relationships with other states, so what are the principles, what are the interests, and what are the objectives of the states, and ultimately what are the actions which are taken up by the state in implementing its own objectives in maintaining the relationships with other countries. So this is called as the foreign policy. Yeah, coming to the elements of foreign policy. What are the elements which determines the foreign policy of a nation? There are three elements of foreign policy. Number one is, the first aspect is the sovereignty of the states. So foreign policy is maintained on the principle of sovereign aspect of the state. So this sovereignty aspect of the state has come into the international arena through the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648. It is through the Treaty of Westphalia, that is through the Treaty of Westphalia, that is the nation states have come into existence. The empires were dismantled, and the nation states and independent sovereign states have come into existence. And even the concept of sovereignty of the state, the external aspect of sovereignty, which was explained by Hugo Grotius. So that started gaining independence after the Treaty of Westphalia. So a foreign policy, it requires first of all a sovereign state, and the second one is interdependence of states. So as we discussed just now, no state is self-sufficient. So every state has to depend upon other states. So for that reason, because of this self-dependence, and not only that, because of the development of science, technology, communication, and transport, so the world has shrunk, and the countries have come so closer to each other, and people started traveling from one country to another country so easily that now there is a very important necessity of maintaining this relationship, a cordial relationships between one country and another country. So the second requirement for a foreign policy is the interdependence of the states. And the third thing that influences the foreign policy is it is their domestic and also the international circumstances. So foreign policy is it is determined by the domestic circumstances of the state. Sometimes it is determined by the domestic problems. It is determined by the political system and economic system of the state, and also it is determined by the international circumstances. So sometimes the international circumstances they play a very important role. Why? Because one international incident at one corner of the world, sometimes it disturbs the whole international scenario. So for that reason, we say these are the three important elements of the foreign policy. Now here to discuss about the goals and objectives of Indian foreign policy. The first goal or objective of Indian foreign policy is to protect India from the traditional and non-traditional threats. So the first objective of a foreign policy is to give importance to its own national interests. So coming to even India also, the first goal is to protect India from the traditional and non-traditional threats, like we have the enemies on our borders, like on one side we have Pakistan, and on the other side we have a real threat from China. So for that reason, what action, what strategies that the government takes up in protecting the country, this will be the first goal of India. And the second one is to create an external environment which is conducive for an inclusive development of India. So why India has adopted the non-alignment movement is because India was under the foreign domination for more than 250 years, and the primary objective of India then was the economic development. So for that reason, we cannot get into conflict with either American bloc or Soviet Russian bloc. So for that reason, our foreign policy has to be in such a way that our external environment has to help us in our own economic development. So for that reason, taking into consideration about Indian situation, economic conditions in those days, then the government thought was to be aligned and to be in a good relationship with both the power blocks. It will help the economic development of the country. So the goal of a foreign policy is to create an external environment which is conducive for an inclusive development of the country. And the third one is to assure that India's voice is heard on global platforms. like it could be on very important issues that the country is facing, like terrorism, or on environment issues or disarmament. So this is one of the very important goal of the Indian foreign policy. And the fourth one is to protect the Indian diaspora. So diaspora is nothing but the Indian society who are living in other countries. They are called as Indian diaspora. So to protect their interests in those countries, it's also one of the very important goal and objective of Indian foreign policy. Now, here, to understand the Indian foreign policy for the sake of convenience, we divide the foreign policy into three stages. The initial stage, which begins shortly after independence, that is from 1947 to 1962, when there was a war with China. And the second phase, again, it is from 1962 to 1991. In 1991, the world order has completely changed with the collapse of Soviet Russia, and the world has changed from a bipolar world to a unipolar world. And from then, how the strategic implications of India regarding foreign policy has changed. And the third phase, again, it is from 1991, it is to the present. So in these three phases, we can understand about the Indian foreign policy. Now, coming to the history of Indian foreign policy, there's a debate, there's an argument that India never had a strategic foreign policy. But this argument is not true. Why? Because the Indian history, it shows that India, since a very long time, had a very good relationships with, it had trade relationships and also the cultural relationships, and also there was an exchange of knowledge between India and the Arab world, and also with Greece also. So for that reason, we cannot say India never had a strategic foreign policy. Even if we take our own present foreign policies, like the non-alignment movement, or else developing the relationships with Asian and African countries, and going nuclear, we can say that India definitely has a strategic foreign policy. Now, coming to the history of foreign policy in India after the British rule, uh, the foreign policy of India, according to the modern parlance, it has evolved since the British rule, because the British, they have monopolized the external and defense relations of India. And during the freedom struggle, we find the seeds of Indian foreign policy were laid during the freedom struggle. It could be a fight against colonialism or apartheid or imperialism. All those concepts have originated during the freedom struggle. And especially the Indian National Congress within itself, it had a small foreign department which was created in 1925 to look into the overseas contracts, and how India can maintain its relationship with other countries after independence. Then after that, we know, after we got independence, it is Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the first Prime Minister of India. At the same time, he is considered as the architect of Indian foreign policy. So the principles which were adopted by India under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, like the very important one, like non-alignment and Panchshil. Though for all these years, few of the principles of Indian foreign policy have changed, but till today we find, though the governments have been changing in India, all the governments have been adhering to the basic foreign policy which was adopted by Jawaharlal Nehru. So for that reason, he is considered as the architect of Indian foreign policy. And not only that, India in 1947, when it has got independence, it was the international world was in such a turmoil that the whole world was in a paranoia of the Cold War situation. And during that time, India had to take its own independent decision. And not only taking its own independent decision, India has played a very important role in international affairs too, and it has shown a direction to most of the third world countries by coming out with non-alignment movement and the Panchashil principles. So here coming to the determinants of Indian foreign policy. So what are the factors that really determines a country in formulating its own foreign policy? Like the first thing that determines the foreign policy is the geography and size of the nation. So the geographical location of the country plays a very important role in framing the foreign policy of a nation. And the security of the nation also, to the maximum extent, it depends upon its geographical location and its size. Like for instance, if we take America, United States of America, why it has adopted a policy of isolation or alienation for a long period of time was because of its geographical location, because of Atlantic Ocean. America was separated from the European countries. So for that reason, we find America, most of the times it was not involved in the European wars. But whereas if we take the European countries like France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Greece, Great Britain, all these countries, they share the boundaries. So they're closely geographically united, geographically located that. Because of that reason, we find the First World War and the Second World War, it has erupted because of this geographical disputes between these European countries. And at the same time, if you take the example of Israel, so Israel's geographical location is in such a way that from all the sides it is surrounded by the Arab countries, which are the enemy countries of Israel. So for that reason, it is the geographical location that will play an important role for a country in framing its own foreign policy. So Israel had to build up a relationship with America. America, which is the most powerful in military aspects and economic aspects. So Israel has to opt for a relationship with America. Why? Because of its geographical location. So now coming to India. Now, India, many a times it is said that India was never aggressive. We don't find India attacking other countries or occupying other countries. Why? Because it is only because of its geographical location. So, because of its geographical location, a situation never arisen for India to be aggressive on some other nation. So why? Because on all the sides, India is surrounded by the natural boundaries. Towards the north, we have the Himalayas, and towards the east, we have the Bay of Bengal, and towards the west, Arabian Ocean, and towards the south, the Indian Ocean. So for that reason, because India is surrounded and it's secured from all the sides, a necessity was never arisen for India to be aggressive towards other nations. So for that reason, we find in Indian mindset, or else Indian foreign attitude, we find India most of the time it had a defensive mindset. So it was never, most of the time it was not an aggressive mindset, but it had a defensive mindset because of its geographical location. Now, presently, now India has to be very cautious regarding the geographical conflicts with the neighboring countries. So especially with Pakistan, between India and Pakistan, the line of control, which is called as Red Cliff Line. So there are still border disputes with Pakistan regarding Jammu Kashmir issue also, which has to be addressed by India. And with Pakistan, the border line between India and Pakistan uh, uh, near Tibet, which is called as the McMahon line. But still, nowadays, even till today, we find uh, China still doesn't have agreement over this McMahon line, and still there are some border disputes which are going on between India and China. So China claims that towards the south of the Tibet, it doesn't accept the McMahon line, and it claims that towards the south of Tibet, this state of Arunachal Pradesh, some areas of Arunachal Pradesh, they come and it claims that it comes under the control of China. So even during Sikkim also, China used to have certain claims, but it has stopped uh, making these claims since the near past. But regarding Arunachal Pradesh, still the conflict is going on. And even in Aksai Chin of Ladakh area too, China claims its authority over that particular uh, territory. So for that reason, it's the geographical location that plays a very important role. So coming to India in framing its own foreign policies, so on one side we have Pakistan, and on the other side we have very powerful country that is China. So keeping these things in mind, India has to frame its own foreign policies. Now here, regarding India and China, we cannot forget the recent military standoff uh, between India and China on 15th of June. This is considered as one of the biggest escalation after the Sino-India War in 1962. And also in 2018, there was a issue of Doklam Plateau. Of course, Doklam is not an issue that is directly related to India. That is an issue between Bhutan and China. But Doklam is a strategic location between India, China, and Bhutan. So, like that, we find there are other issues also which come in between the relationship between India and China, like especially the Tibet issue, where India is supporting the cause of Tibet for autonomy or for independence, and also for the reason that India has given asylum to Dalai Lama in India. So now coming to the other factors that determine the foreign policy of India is, here we can say take history and cultural influence. So one of the very important feature that we find in Indian foreign policy is India wants to cooperate for peaceful coexistence of the nation, and India wants to cooperate with United Nations organization in every endeavor that United Nations wants to take up. So this concept of peaceful coexistence, and even in the Panchashil principles also, we find the same thing. The last Panchashil principle, it talks about the peaceful coexistence between the nations. So this attitude in the Indian foreign policy has come. It is because of our historical and our cultural influences. So the very prominent religions which were born in India, like Buddhism and Jainism, they talk about ahimsa, they talk about truth, they talk about non-violence. And later, even if we take the basic principles of Indian freedom struggle under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, where they adopted the principles like satyagraha, non-violence, and truth. So all these are because of we can say it is our cultural heritage. So for ages, India stood for peace, and India stood for non-violence. So, for that reason, it is our culture and it is our history that has framed the foreign policy of India. And not only that, one of the important feature of Indian foreign policy is to fight against colonialism and imperialism. So, though India got independence in 1947 and India was under the control of the foreign rule for more than 250 years. So, because of that historical experience, the Indian foreign policy has incorporated in itself to fight against colonialism. That is, wherever colonialism is in existence in Asian countries and African and Latin American countries. So India wants to fight against colonialism and to say that those countries will be liberated and those countries they will get freedom. So besides colonialism, India also wants to fight against racial discrimination. So these factors of Indian foreign policy, they have been influenced because of the history and culture of India. And one more determinant of foreign policy is it's the public opinion. So it is the public opinion that influences the foreign policy of a country. And this we find especially among the developed countries in the world. So, where the people are more politically enlightened and the people are more educated, so it is the opinion of the people that puts a pressure over the government in formulating its own foreign policy. Like, for instance, if we take the instance of Vietnam, when Vietnam was attacked by US when Nixon was the president, it was the American population whose opinion was against the action of American government. So because of which the American forces have to be withdrawn from Vietnam. And same thing later we have seen regarding Afghanistan and Iraq too, where the American population opinion was not in favor of the government's action. And recently, even in India also, we can find this. That is, India going for the surgical strikes against Pakistan. So those surgical strikes were taken up by the government. It is because of the strong opinion of the people behind the government. And not only that, recently because of the military standoff between India and China, because of aggressive attitude of China. So when Indian government has taken a decision to ban different apps which are originating in China, the population had a very strong support towards the government. So in this manner, we can say it is the public opinion that plays a very important role in framing the foreign policy. And the fourth very important determinant is the national capacity. So it is the national capacity which we can say it is the pivot of the foreign policy of a nation. So the capacity of a nation in field of military, or the capacity of the nation in economic aspects or economic development. So it is the capacity of the nation. That capacity will help the nation in dealing with other countries. So those countries that are militarily powerful, so when they are economically and militarily powerful, so they try to dominate over the international affairs. So they try to have an aggressive foreign policy. So for that reason, it is military, and also it is the economic aspects of a nation that plays a very important role in framing the foreign policy. And coming to India too, right. So for that reason, India, after the experience of 1962, that is after the war between China, so till that time, India was giving more importance to the philosophical aspect and ideological aspects, like a peaceful coexistence and a friendly relationship with other countries, the non-alignment movement or something like that. But later, in after 1962, we find a paradigm shift in Indian foreign policy, and where India started taking keen interest on developing its own military preparedness and also the economic development. So here we find, coming to the military aspect of India, presently, where India stands militarily, we can say that the Indian armed forces are the world's second largest military force, and not only that, we have the world's largest voluntary army. And coming to the budget expenditure, the expenditures on military, so we can say that India is the third largest defense budget, that is after US and China. India is the country that spends more upon the budget, more upon the defense and military. And not only that, according to the Global Firepower Report in 2020, what this particular report says is India is the fourth most powerful military, that is after America, China, and Russian Federation. India is considered as the most powerful military. And not only that, we know India has developed the nuclear weapon capabilities. So the nuclear bombs were tested in India for the first time in 1974 on 18th of May. Later in 1998, on 12th of May, the nuclear capabilities were enhanced in India. So this way, India, coming to military aspect, it tries to enhance its capabilities to play an important role in the international arena. And coming to the economic aspect, we can what we observe is one advantage that India presently have is, we know presently India is considered as the youngest nation in the world. We have majority of the young population, that is around 69% of Indians presently they stay in the age group between 18 years and 35 years of age. So this is the demographic dividend that India has achieved. So for that reason, there is larger scope for India, because we have very potential human resources in India, the young human resources in India presently. So for that reason, there is a large potential for the economic development of the country, and this we are witnessing nowadays. Here, a few of the statistics, it shows that India recently has emerged as world's fifth largest economy, with a gross domestic product of $2.94 trillion US dollars. And recently, India has overtaken the United Kingdoms and France in 2019. And not only that, regarding the India's purchasing power parity, it is 10.51 trillion US dollars, and which is more than that of Japan or Germany. So in economic arena also, we find there is a trajectory of the development of India. But recently, because of a couple of reasons, we observe that there is a decline of GDP in India since the last 3 years. It has come down from 7.5% to 5%. But this depression is something which is not just confined to India. This is presently the global issue where all the countries are facing with this particular problem. So it is the capabilities of India, capabilities like the military capabilities and economic capabilities, potentials that play a very important role in determining the foreign policy. So for that reason, when we have brought about a paradigm shift in military and the economic aspects of India, later we also have become military, we have become nuclear, we have attained nuclear capabilities. Then here we can find India playing a proactive role from defensive role. Now we find India playing a proactive role in international relationships. And the fifth factor that plays a very important role in determining the foreign policy of a nation, and particularly foreign policy of India, is the structure of the society. So here we say the national morale is recognized to be an important element in the power of the state. Now there is a debate, there is an argument stating that when there is a homogeneous society, then there will be stronger national unity. So to attain stronger national unity, they need to have a homogeneous society. And there are certain sections in India who are strongly supporting this particular argument, and who are trying to bring about the homogeneous culture and homogeneous society. Their argument is when there are sharp divisions within the society, between the rich and the poor, or between the religions, or between different communities, or between different regions, and when there are imbalances in economic development among the people, then what happens is we cannot bring about the consensus or unity among the people. And when a critical situation arises, then the government cannot count upon the immediate cooperation from the people. So this is one debate, this is one argument, that is, a homogeneous society will bring a stronger national unity. But all the time this is not true. Why? Because India has been a heterogeneous society for ages. So India is known for its diversity. India is known for its unity for diversity. So, besides diversities, though people belong to different backgrounds, still we find a feeling of nationalism among the people, a feeling of a cohesiveness among the people. And even if you take the example of other countries, like many of the European countries, no country nowadays has a homogeneous society. So every state is an heterogeneous state, but still they are able to garner the support of all the people. They are able to get the unity and support from all the people. So it is the structure of the society also that plays a very important role in determining the foreign policy of a nation. And next one is the political organization. So what system of government is prevailing? So when the government is stable, and when the government is very strong, and then the government can take strong decisions regarding its foreign policies. So when the government is weak, that is, when the coalition governments, they come into power, and they need to continue in power, their existence depends upon the cooperation of different political parties. So here, to garner the support of all the political parties, and to bring all the political parties onto one single platform, that becomes a very very difficult task for the government. But when there is one political party that gains a total majority, and the government is stable, and it is so stable that it continues till the end of its term, then when it has the support of the representatives of the people, and it has the support of the public opinion, then that government can play an important role in the international arena in framing its own foreign policies. Then the last determinant of Indian foreign policies, it's the international environment. So it's not only the domestic influences, and it's not only the domestic factors, but is the factors beyond the boundaries of the state also that plays a very important role. For instance, one small incident in one corner of the world, like if there is a war between Iran and Iraq, so that leads into the economic instability throughout the world. So for that reason, the international environment that plays a very very important role in determining the foreign policy. Like if we take our own country, why India has to adopt the non-alignment movement is, non-alignment movement is not anyway related to Indian history, or else it is no way related to India, but it is related to the international environment. It was the international environment during those days which demanded India to adopt the non-alignment movement. In the same manner, if we take US, relationship of US with India, right from the days of Indian independence, we find there is no a congenial relationship between India and America. So America was most of the time opting to develop, to have a relationship with Pakistan, and for Pakistan, it was America which was sending the military aid and also the financial packages to Pakistan. But later, what has happened was, with the emergence of China as a competitor to America, and now when America has seen this particular international problem, that is in South Asia, the balance of power has to be maintained. And not only in South Asia, in the world politics, if the balance of power has to be maintained, now America has shifted its attention to India. So, why America has to shift its attention to India is, it is because of international environment. So, the international politics are always dynamic. So, the international politics will not be the same all the time. So, as the times keeps changing, the international politics also will be keep on changing. And not only that, in international politics, there is nothing like a permanent friend and a permanent enemy. So the strategies of the nations will keep on changing as their national interests keep on changing. So for that reason, as the international situation is dynamic and it keeps on changing, in the same manner, the international relations also they keep changing with international situations. And as international relations keep altering, along with the international relations, the foreign policy also will be keeping on changing. So in this manner, here we have studied about what are the determinants of foreign policy of India. So in next class, we are going to study about what are the basic features of India's foreign policy, and we also will study about after 1991, after the Cold War has come to an end, post-Cold War era. So in what way the Indian foreign policy has evolved, what is the relevance of NAM, or else what is the role that is played by India in the new international scenario that is after the end of Cold War. So these topics we are going to discuss in the next class. Thank you.